So what is it really like talking into a phone? Interesting topic, right? And for those of you who are new to the SFM community and that are on my YouTube channel, this is a topic that I'd like to share with you some perspective and a little bit about what you can look forward to with the 90-day video journey in your community. And it's an interesting one because essentially we're talking into a camera or a phone, and it's a piece of plastic. It's a 7-inch by 3-inch piece of plastic. So why is it that can be really uncomfortable to do? And it's really down, my humble opinion, it's really down to, I guess, what's behind that camera. And I know the fear can come from, I guess, the expectations that you feel that you might be judged, that the people on the other side might judge you, might criticize you, all those fears, any number of them. And so it's totally understandable, right? When I'm going to relate this to an experience that I had many years ago, and in regards to speaking and public speaking, and how it very much relates to telling a story on a camera. I'd spoken about my previous life, if you can call it that, when I worked on a cruise ship. And a thing that happened on the cruise ships regularly was that we'd have these, it was called a parade, we'd have this parade in the dining room, and all of the dining room staff would march around, and then we'd sing to the guests, and there'd be a speech, and it was great fun. Guests loved it, and it was good fun. We'd do it 2 or 3 times a week. And as part of this, we'd have a welcome speech at the beginning of the cruise, and then towards the end of the cruise, thanking all the guests. Now, the dining room on a cruise ship was one of the focal points of the cruise ship. You'd have 2,000, 3,000 guests per sitting. So twice a night, you'd have, about an average about 2,000 guests. So I was not long into my 20-year tenure. I think I was on my second contract. And I had a boss at the time, and he was a legend, and a lovely Italian gentleman called Mr. Roberto Mancini. And he was just charming. He just had this charisma as a maitre d', and he was a legend. We called him an old timer. He'd been around for a lot of years, and he was just, everyone loved Mr. Roberto. And out of nowhere, Mr. Roberto turned around to me one day and he said, Leo, my son, this week you do the speech. And I'm like, what's that now? And he basically, this was how I was propelled into public speaking. And so that week I was going to stand in front of 2,000 people and talk on a microphone. Absolutely terrifying. And what happened in the beginning, it was scripted, and it was probably about a 4-minute speech. And in the beginning, as with everyone who did this, and many did it for years in the same way, they'd hide behind, we had a piano in the middle of the dining room, and all the staff would be around the piano and the staircase around it. You'd have about 200 staff there. And so typically people that were doing the speech, out of absolute fear, they'd hide behind the 200 staff huddled somewhere around the piano, so that they couldn't see the guests and the guests couldn't see them. And this was how I started to do it. And then over time, I started to get more and more comfortable with it. And I remember an absolute golden nugget of advice that Mr. Roberto gave to me. He said, Leo, he said, when you're looking out at your audience, he said, pick one person. It doesn't even have to be a person, but pick a spot at the back of the room. And that's just focus looking at that one spot. And he said, from a guest point of view, it looks like you're looking out over all the guests. And it worked. It absolutely worked. So over time, I had the script down pat. I didn't need to read it anymore. And I didn't want to be hiding. I remember the first time, literally my knees were banging off each other. They were shaking. Absolute fear. And it was only over time and practice that I became more and more comfortable with it, and then it became second nature to me. But I couldn't have gotten to the point of it being second nature without going through that absolute terror in the beginning and the fear of it. And I can definitely equate that to, the 90-day video challenge, and why it can be very scary to do it. And it's totally understandable. I would recommend, if you're thinking about jumping into the 90-day video challenge, first of all, to go for it. But secondly, to maybe think about that in the same way, try and not think that you're speaking to several people. Try that you're just speaking to your friend or your partner, or somebody that you're comfortable chatting with. And just if you can visualize them being on the other side of it and you're speaking to them. And that may very well help you. I think it will. Give it a try if you feel like it. Now, the 90-day video journey community, there's nothing says that you have to start making videos to be in this community. There really isn't. Some do, many do, and some are happy to be in the community and not put videos out. And it's totally your journey. You get to decide how you'd like to do it. There's nothing that says that in your marketing campaign moving forward, you don't have to make video. There's many other ways. It can be through Google advertising, Bing, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. You do not have to go down this road of having to put videos out to do your advertising. That being said, I would encourage you to join this incredible community, because prove me wrong, you will be inspired. Even if you're not quite ready to put videos out there, join the community anyway. It's inspiring to see and go on all these journeys with so many of your community members within this special place. And what I can say, without exception, that there's just no judgment. You have nothing to fear. I was totally turned off social media many years ago because it was just a very negative place to be. This is the safest place on the planet you can be on social media. You're not going to be judged. There's nothing to be fearful of. You're only going to be encouraged. And so I would suggest that you jump on board this, even if you're not at a point of putting videos out, and you may never be at a point, and that's perfectly fine. When it comes to, and I talk about being inspired, I have yet to watch somebody finish their 90 days and put up that last 90-day video. I have yet to see someone say, yeah, I did it. It was okay. Yeah, I'm done. Done. Next. It just doesn't work like that. Without fail, everybody talks about the change, the confidence they got, the change they went through, and just how inspired they were along the journey. And so that's available for you. And as I say, I'm going to be staying within absolutely the 90-day community when I get to my 90 days, because it's just such a positive, kind, caring place. And on a daily basis, it inspires me. So I hope these little shares help for you. Reach out if you're still on the fence and not sure about it. Make sure to reach out to me and let's talk some more about it. But I very much hope that this helps you in maybe taking that next step to putting yourself out there a little bit more. So have a wonderful rest of your weekend. It's a Saturday here, so I hope you're having a lovely weekend, and hope it's a great rest of your week. And as always, please go gently on yourself. Thanks.